Okay, uh, good afternoon, good morning listeners. Today I'm going to talk about education phase 2, but an aspect of education that is taking place in the universities. I am a mature student. I am currently taking a master's degree at one of the Russell Group universities. I can tell you for sure, since I began my educational journey in 2011, I think it is, around thereabout. Since hitting university, put it this way, I've noticed bullying, and it's not so much students, but again it can be students as well. Students are easily led. They're like little children, and what you have is a collective, a team of professors who ascribe to a certain ideology, and because of that ideology, and it's full of people that want to do well, they can situate the university in a them versus you. We're all right, we're cool, we got it, you are the enemy. And me being the enemy is somebody with critical thinking skills. You see, they think critical thinking can only come from them, from their perspective. I.e., they tend to be feminist, they are Marxist. One professor called himself an anarchist. Of course, when you question him later on and you realise he slipped up, he tried to backtrack. It's a bit like one professor, proudly now she's a feminist and a Marxist. But she thinks she's thinking to the whole collective group in agreement. Until when you question her, you can see, oh, and I've never known this before, but professors as a group, actually like little children, they give you the evil eye. They're giving me the evil, literally giving me the evil eye. Or a look of hatred. We hate you. This is what's happening. And I'm going to tell you where it comes from. There isn't a narrative that they're pushing. I suppose you can call it white supremacy. Everything centered around the white man. The white man has been evil to everybody. And so therefore, anything that's created, you have to critically think it, because his intent has garnered him favourable positions in life, throughout life, and you, the other, in a bad situation which is not of your own making, etc. It's an exaggeration of a natural occurrence, and given motive for what's happened. That might sound confusing, and I'm sorry if it does for the time being, but I'm talking about higher education and where it is. I think I know where to fix it and challenge it. I wrote a couple of years back to the university's minister. First of all, I wrote to Nicky Morgan, who was the education minister. She wrote back saying, well, universities are out of my hands, okay? So I studied a bit more and I found out who the university's minister was. Well, that was Boris Johnson's brother. And I have, sometimes I have a nasty habit. No, it's not nasty, it's, I declare sometimes that I am a man of colour, okay? I am a man of colour. My parents hail from the Caribbean, an island in the Caribbean, okay? And I am probably lighter skin than the sofa, but chocolate all the same. The skin shade business, that's a different argument. I am brown. I don't even classify myself black. I just don't like the term black because, not because it's got negative connotations. I mean, if you're in the black, then your bank balance is good. That's neither here nor there. It's a political phrase raised in the 60s for the Americans and probably given to them by somebody else to make a demarcation between people. So in my last video I spoke about behaviour and how people behave, right? And how people innately have innate behaviours. And we tend to follow one another. We tend to like a leader. Sometimes we tend to gravitate to people who can better verbalize what we're thinking, who do it very well, or who are courageous or in a situation, where they can speak out. You can't because of one thing or another. So at the outset, I'm going to say that I'm a child of God. I'm a creationist. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe there was a man in Jesus Christ. I'm a creationist, and I believe God gives me free speech. He gives me discernment. I have the right to be wrong also. Okay? We all have the right to be wrong and to recognise when we are wrong and to apologise. And, we're socialised to have manners. But freedom of speech is paramount, ultimate. I don't care about your feelings when it comes to facts and history. But we've got a problem. We've got a problem in universities today with regard to what constitutes education, how it's delivered, and in what environment it's delivered, by who, etc. And if I had my way, number one, because this has been going on when we've got this overarching governing body called Ofsted, I would get rid of Ofsted straight away. That's done. And the ideologies of the left are done, and they will be once I read you this. Now this is what I couldn't understand. Why these professors, because I'd ask them, they just glazed over, they didn't hear what I had to say. Oh, we could talk about it another time, and there's never enough time to explore what they have to say. But I couldn't understand why anybody would be a Marxist. Why anybody wants to be a communist, and if you want to be a socialist, why do you gravitate to communistic socialism? What was wrong with Victor Prosper Considerant? What was wrong with Robert Owen's version of socialism? That you should take this hybrid, this disgusting, evil tract and take it to heart, as if it, one, made any sense anyway. Well, let me read you what it says here. This is page 20. I put down as a citation page 25, 26, but it's actually on page 26. Go online, or if you've got the book, Communist Manifesto. Now, he's referring to, there's just been a philosophical shift. And that philosophical shift has come from, I argue, it comes from the Reformation. People like Jan Hus, Wycliffe, and finally Martin Luther, breaking away from the Roman Universal, explaining to the masses that it was corrupt and has been corrupt for some time. Hold on a second. Itch on my nose. And finally, Europe has now become a place of ideas and thought and questioning and reasoning. Enlightenment's really about reasoning. So no more morals, dogma. You can believe what you want, but it's going to be exposed to rational reasoning, and we will define what is scientific, what is not scientific, etc. So there's a freedom to express oneself. And of course, whenever somebody, whenever there's a new development that people are now free to do, there's always somebody that doesn't like our freedom. And they always come up with something to want to curtail our freedom. For argument's sake, we've got a Prime Minister, Theresa May. This woman is useless and should have been fired a long time ago. In fact, she should never have been Prime Minister. This is the woman that wants to snoop in everybody. She's been an advocate for the Snoopers Charter. That goes into everybody's emails and all of this stuff. This is the big brother woman herself, an idiot. But that's the different argument. So we've got new ideas. And he's speaking about this new breakaway and what communism wants to do. So it says here, when the ancient world was in its last throes, that will be the medieval time, and the ancient world will be the hegemony that the Roman Universal Church, the papacy, had over everybody, thought and speech, and, if you don't stand in line We call you names, those names become very scary names, and we burn you to the stake. Heresy. I'm going to show you that we're pretty much right back where we started. Anyway, when the ancient world was in its last throes, the ancient religions were overcome by Christianity. When Christian ideas succumbed in the 18th century to rationalist ideas, feudal society fought its death battle with the then revolutionary bourgeoisie. Now, that's the beginning of the nomenclature. Whenever these liars are trying to supplant good ideas with a bad one, they have to have a set of new words to make them sound so sophisticated. Bourgeoisie. It's coming out this guy's backside. Right? Bourgeoisie, proletariat, all these different words, just a nomenclature. Right? Means what? The ideas of religious liberty and freedom of conscience merely gave expression to the sway of competition within the domain of knowledge. Okay, so you've got the Protestant Reformation, you've got different denominations, everybody's arguing their ideas, their hermeneutics, interpretation of the Bible, etc. I would argue they forgot about what Jesus had to say, but nevertheless, there's lots of ideas. There are those who do not believe in God. They believe, as this guy really was happy with Darwin's on the origin of the species by natural selection, or the preservation of favoured races in the struggle for life, the actual title. I think I mentioned that in the last video. So you've got this domain competition in the domain of knowledge. Now this is what he says, right? And we can, reflect on that and say whether there was or wasn't. Undoubtedly, it will be said, quote, religious, moral, philosophical and juridical ideas have been modified in the course of historical development. But religion, morality, philosophy, political science and law constantly survive this change. You see, once the Roman Universal Church had a breakaway, it's no more dominant, a lot of people, those who don't like God, thought that that's the end of religion, that's the end of Christ, that's the... No, that's not going to be anarchy, right? This is what Marx says. Please listen, socialists, re-examine where you're coming from. There are, besides, eternal truths, such as freedom, justice, etc., that are common to all states of society. Here he goes waffling. All societies, no matter where you go. They understand what's right, what's wrong, what's justice. Okay? And they believe in their freedom. In fact, they're born to it, in most cases. But communism abolishes eternal truth. You see the beginning of this, there are no absolutes. You know where it comes from? Right here. It abolishes eternal truth. That means I don't want to hear it. I don't care. I'm not listening to that. It abolishes all religion. Well, we know he is famed to have said religion is the opiate of the masses. So he just invented his own. And all morality. Let me read that again. But communism abolishes eternal truths. It abolishes all religion and all morality. Did you hear that? At that point, you should be saying, what? Oh, I didn't know that. No, because you didn't read the Communist Manifesto. Because your leaders, your communist leaders, don't want you to see that. Instead of constituting them on a new basis, it therefore acts in contradiction to all past historical experience, pulling its ethos out of its proverbial backside. Now, let's just understand one thing. This Marx, where's that book? I've got books. He's a Jewish fella, and they hate Christianity. They don't like Christians, and they don't even, the Bible is not their book, it's the Talmud, right? I've got a book over there, and a rabbi saying it. There is no attack on them. They're free to do what they want, and they do it. This is about what's influencing and corrupting our universities, and therefore corrupting when they turn out these teachers and these ideas, and why some of these weird ideas get traction, right? That they then become policy. Now, I bought this book, and I'm not really one. You know, go on Amazon, you read a page and you say, this looks interesting, look at contents. You're saying, this is interesting. And this is a very interesting book because it actually speaks about what's actually happening in university. And it's by an Professor Emeritus, Frank Furedi. And it's called What's Happened to the University? A Sociological Exploration of its Infantilization. That's the book. Now, admittedly, I haven't completed reading it. I've got to chapter 6, which is entitled Microaggression. Now, the first thing about this book, I'm going to say Frank Furedi is on point. Everything he said in here is true. It's really weird that it's littered, chock full of typos. This has not been proofread at all. But it's such a wonderful book in that it's true. Everything he's saying makes sense. It brings it home. It's fairly easy reading, but gee whiz, I have never seen so much typos. I think he does say on his website if there's any issues to contact him, but usually I do. Sometimes I get a free book, but I've been so busy I haven't had the time. But I've highlighted lots of stuff that I've found interesting, true, reasonable quotes, and loads of the typos that, errors and that he's made. Well, he's true. So if I were to explain to you, just read the contents of the book, you'll know what it's talking about. Well, it's got its introduction. Then it says, the weaponization of emotions. You see, Frank Furedi, he's of the belief that we're infantilizing, mollycoddling students, that they're no longer robust to withstand rugged, bombastic, debate. University is a place of ideas, where you test your ideas, where you learn new ideas and concepts, and you actually you should be free to have your view and debate those views, and people listen to both sides. I mean, there's an art to debate. Unfortunately, we're living in a world where they don't want you to debate, they just want you to name call, and the old sticks and stones may break bones. Well, no, now they've got hate speech laws in, and Theresa May being a female, is more emotional. Do you see where I'm going here? The female is essentially more emotional than the male. So you put a female in power, what do you think you're going to get? Right. So anyway, weaponization of emotions. The harms of the academy. Culture war. Safe space. A quarantine against judgment. She's put that in quotes. Verbal purification. The diseasing of free speech. Microaggression. The disciplining of manners and thought. And that's the chapter I'm on now. The quest for a new etiquette. Trigger warnings. The performance of awareness. Why academic freedom must not be rationed, or an argument against the freedom security trade-off. Who was it that said, if you trade off your freedom for security, you deserve neither. Right? You cannot ask your government to curtail some of your freedoms because the boogeyman's out there, because once you do that, you've basically enslaved yourself to the government, and the government is one person or one entity that's not going to give up its power once it's tasted the power and got the filthy lucre from such power. I am about liberty and individual freedom. I am about freedom of speech. God gave me that right. Also, Article 19 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 19, look it up. It runs in accordance with God. You do have the right to freedom of speech. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is not just to talk about education, but it's important, but it's about this battle that is taking place. Now, on occasion, I YouTube Hyde Park and the debates that take place, and they're at it all week, and every weekend. And it's to the point where it's got contentious from time to time, and a lot of the speakers are Muslims. They're very versed in their Quran and the Bible. And it's always good to be versed in both. And so there's a contention with some people believe that they are acting like a mafia. Unfortunately for some of the Muslims, they behave like a mafia sometimes. Thuggery. Sometimes, you know, it's really not unnecessary. And I'm going to tell you a story which should really make all those advocates of their religion take a step back and breathe. The conflict between Islam and Christianity need not happen at all. In fact, sometimes I think it's a forced debate. So I'm going to deal with that now. Then I'm going to talk about what happened over the weekend. Islam believes there was a Jesus Christ. They believe there was a Jesus Christ. They call him Isa. Okay? And some Christians call Jesus Christ Yeshua, the Messiah. I'm one of them. And the Christians are so in love with Jesus that they say he died on the cross and rose again. I have no problem with that. Okay? God can create miracles. That's outside the realm of what we know. The things that we humans have discovered and understand, we still can't even handle those, you know? So let's talk about outside of the powers of what we can express. The Muslims believe in Jesus Christ, but they so ardently love him as well. But they say, no, he didn't die. They, you know, that ignominious death was not on him. He got away. To me, that both of you love him, and both of you got your narrative as to how he died. That's not a war for me. That's not an argument for me. That's okay. You both love him. Unlike another faith that says he's boiling in hot excrement. Right? Yes, I'm not even going to speak about those unspeakables. I don't want my video to be banned. So I'm going to tell you a story. Let's just call me the creator of 4. And I'll tell each 4 to meet me at Marble Arch 12 o'clock. Now one of them bought a brand new car, and he likes his car, and he wants to, you know, ride in comfort, air conditioned, listen to his radio, and work in his tom-tom. So he's gone by his car. Another one is a bit of a fitness freak. Well, not freak, but he loves his body, and he likes the challenge of cycling through London, and he, you know, he goes everywhere with this lovely bicycle, which costs over 600 quid, and he rides there. Another one has got an Oyster card, and is determined to use it, and likes the scenic route to travel in comfort, and look, as the bus goes through town, looking, you know, you can see a roundabout him. And another one, shall we say, takes the tube. Now, I'm there, 12 o'clock, they all turn up. And they're squabbling about who's lazy, whose route is unnecessary, and what you know, you know, they're arguing about who had the better idea, who's polluting the environment, who's not polluting the environment. All of these arguments around, and I'm standing there, and I said, and they stopped, and I said to the 4 I created, your job was to get here. Did you do so? Yes. By the blessings bestowed upon you, you chose your way. Did you get there? You found. That's the main thing. The arguing has got to stop. If you're not denying my existence, how you got there to me is immaterial. You're supposed to get there. Okay? So the argument between Muslims and you know, because like, you listen to the debates, the Muslims are ha ha, you know, and the Christians are ha ha ha, and both of them are missing the point with this ongoing debate. And some of them are up there pushing their faces up there because they're like mini stars. Everybody knows them, and they could be eloquent speakers, and some of them are. And you know, it's one of those things that egos are involved. With men, egos are involved. Some men like to speak a lot, but don't study a lot. So once they are, there's an audience, you can find that somebody doesn't want to lose. You know, they don't want to lose the debate. Some of the Muslims, to my mind, are hotheads, and they disgrace themselves. But you know, some people shouldn't even speak, but they're up there and they want to. You know, because they're quick. You know, sometimes people with low intellect are quick to want to throw punches. You know, and dress up. Now, you know, one thing I would say: please do not ape Antifa. Let us who believe in freedom of speech expose Antifa for what they truly are. And we're getting there. We know what the philosophy is. They don't believe that there is they don't want you to believe there is an eternal truth. There are no absolutes is what they say. And I'm like, well, where'd you get that from? Oh, I left the book inside. It's all this social I call it neo-communism. Social constructionism, and what they utter when they say that, you know, they're going to ban morality and there are no eternal truths. Therefore, it ushers in the reality of the facts of the matter is each human being has 46 chromosomes, and you only have 47 if you're Down's syndrome. Your chromosomes consist of XX and XY, right? XX female, XY male, okay? There are no in-betweens. You are either born male or born female, okay? And how you live out your gender is but through socialization, okay? Of course, some people wish they were taller, fitter, stronger. I mean, some people refer to themselves as weedy. I think Jacob Reed-Mogg referred to himself as a weed. I'm sure he probably wanted to be a bit more beefy. And we're living in a time where, in America for argument's sake, black guys keep shooting each other over drugs and guns. It's very difficult being a male. It always has been. It's always been difficult. So I can understand why some males will opt out of their maledom and want to live an easier life as a female, you know, and be gay, etc. You're not born gay. There's no such thing as being born. There's no gay gene. Again, these things, these points can be debated. They don't want to debate it. They want to trump your argument with their feelings. Feelings trump the argument, and they've got the power of law behind them. Now, I was on a course. It was a module I took to do with gender, sexuality and education. I thought, okay, let's have a look at this. There might be a bit of feminism and understanding feminism, why, etc., etc. What the module actually was a recruiting sergeant on steroids. At one point, it even had a homosexual speaker, and he put it to the class, how do we get homosexualism on the curriculum? And I was blink, 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 blink. Even if I knew a good way, I wouldn't tell you. I wouldn't tell you. Okay? Because that's filth. It's wrong. It's not justified. It's not natural either. And Ryan Sorba, if you go on YouTube, look up Ryan Sorba. He's got a hidden camera and he's going to all these homosexuals in clubs, talking to them. And to a man, they're all saying they're not born gay. But they can't say it. Ryan Sorba. It's amazing. Peter Tatchell, some years ago, I've got a quote of him. He's saying it's not helpful to use the gay gene argument. Don't use it. Well, it's quite obvious because there is no gay gene. And as for transgenderism, I put it in one of my essays that got rejected. Of course, you know, lefties don't like the truth. They like to tell you that gender is fluid. Oh, my professor, gender fluid, gender fluid. And of course, you can't say nothing in the module because they all bully you. So I waited for the essay and she didn't like it. Why? Because I think his name is Hugh. John Hugh. Maybe don't quote me on the word. I really should have had my essay in front of me. Anyway, he was the psychological professor of Johns Hopkins University, and he's gone through all the data of suicides, etc. And he declares that transgenderism is a mental disorder. Okay? So I said, okay, don't stop there. This guy's top guy. He's published over 125 peer-reviewed papers, well known. And Johns Hopkins University is no small egg in the basket. That's the same university hospital that Dr. Ben Carson separated the twins at the head. First time ever done. Brilliant surgeon, brilliant piece of work performed. Took many hours to do. But he performed it at Johns Hopkins University. So it's an elite hospital. They declare, or he just declare, it's mental disorder. So I go to the United Nations. I go to the WHO, you know, the World Health Organization. None other, in 2016, they too declare that transgenderism is a mental disorder. And then I went to Indonesian Psychiatric Association. They're all saying the same thing. In fact, the World Health Organization went one step further. It said it was a mental disease. That's what they said. 2016. So there she is on her course talking about gender. The word gender came around in the 50s, and it came out of an accident. I think I might have shown you the book. John Money, sexologist John Money. A baby boy's penis was supposed to get a circumcision. It went wrong, disastrously wrong. And he came up with the idea, well, what we can do is socialise him, take the rest of the penis off, give him a vagina, and socialise him into being a girl. Therefore, you know, we're proving the point that gender is fluid. Well, you know, the operation went past and they, you know, it's a fact, it's true. And he, in the book, John Talapino actually says the feminist movement jumped on this and pushed it ever since then. So of course I use that quote. That's not going to get you any brownie points for your essay. Again, it's the truth. So you can see who's behind pushing this gender fluidity nonsense, right? Well, it turns out that it's too early. Babies don't have puberty. Puberty is to do with your mind, your nervous system. Everything comes to the fore for teenagers, and they are discovering who they are. But this boy is a boy, and he doesn't like being a girl. He hates it. And to cut a long story short, it's a tragic story. He kills himself in the end. It was not a success. Of course, they want the story to go away because they want to indoctrinate everybody and damage people. At the very age that, you know, children are asking mummy and daddy where the babies come from. They want to short circuit that and start teaching children. Ofsted has been agreeing it at an early age about, you know, homosexuality and transgenderism and intersectionality and all of this nonsense. You go on YouTube and you'll find some people asking these girls, what are you? Well, I'm not sure, you know, and they don't even know. It's just trendy to, you know, run around saying you're this and you're that. The point is they have a right to be a lemon popsicle. If that's what you want to be, that's what you want to be. But you don't get to tell me not to call you a lemon popsicle, okay? And I agree with Jordan Peterson. When they start bringing in laws that you have to use certain terms for these transgendered people, I mean, you know, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they're calling homosexuals gay. Gay means happy. It does not mean I take it up the rectum and like it up the rectum. And I don't like homosexuals. That doesn't mean I hate them. So, the idea that they've got this hate law, hate speech, you've got to scratch your head. These guys, let's just say whites are the superior race, right? So, the superior race who went to the finest schools, Oxford, Cambridge, Russell Group, the lot. And the best they can do is coin something, hate speech. You could never prove that I hate anybody. Because what is hate? And how deep does hate go? I don't like thieves. I don't hate them. I just wish the police would do a good job in rounding them up. And the judges didn't abide by this sentencing guidelines and actually gave people proper sentences. Hate. Ooh. I could say I hate it when justice is not given or performed, and it ought to. I could hate it that somebody wants to take away my freedom of speech. I hate it when people sit down and don't do what they ought to do, which is stand for something rather than lie down taking it all. If somebody called me a name, I don't know, the N-word, nigger, or a bastard, I don't know them, they don't know my parents. I am not a nigger, but in his world, I'm a nigger. Fine. Say what you want. I'm on my way doing what I've got to do. It's more important than to stand up and talk with an idiot. But he has a right to, he wasn't raised right. I mean, we socialise one another enough to have manners. Nobody's going to break wind in public, we hope. No one's going to be harking up and spitting in front, we hope. These things can be done by anybody. But we live in a society, a developed society, where we trade behaviour for manners and etiquette, and we're a bit more civilised than those people who spit right where they stand. And of course, some cultures burp around the dinner table, depending on culture to culture, that's a sign of good food. Whatever, we could laugh about those little bits and those quirks. But infantilizing people by saying, oh, you disagree with me, I need a safe space from you, you came too close, or you said something, you triggered me, I feel threatened, that's a microaggression. A microaggression could be anything, just because you disagree. And what a lot of people are doing now, that happened to me, is they feign injury. And because the university professors have to act on these alleged claims, they're quick to write to you with citations and give you like one of them gave me the rules. Oh, my conduct was this, I was accused of that. I said, okay, fair enough. Who accused me of what? Let's have that debate. She writes back to me, oh, I don't really care about the veracity of anything. But you did. Because you scolded me, chided me, and then gave me the student rule book quote about behaviour. So somebody convinced you. Now I want to know who and what the debate is. I'm standing on solid ground. It's the university. I then sent the email to my head professor. I said, look, I want to have this debate. I've been accused. This is what's happened. Can you oversee this? I'm too busy. Do you see? It's easy to point the finger, and I'm a man of colour. And you got this little short-ass white girl, American. This is the country where white women have pointed the finger at black men and said, he done it, he done this, done that, and there's been lynchings and murders because of what this white girl said. And she's reported me for an argument, a disagreement over Betty Friedan's book and the influence it had, etc. Can't remember what the actual argument was. I was right, she didn't like it, she told. And then she's standing out there and she expected the professor to say, well, apologise to her. And it wasn't coming because I defended my ground and I was quite right in what I'm saying, and there was a bit of he said, she said, so the professor's going to look at it, because now that you're actually logically reasoning with her, it's not exactly what this little girl said. Now she's going red in the face and starting shouting until the professor had to tell her to calm down. You know what I mean? because she's not getting what she wants, you know, scream and scream and scream, infantilizing. Right? I want that big black guy in trouble. I'm not even that big, but I'm bigger than her. It's, you know, they think they know it all. They can read a book, and because they can read a book, and they've been infantilized all their life, and I don't know. So she's you know, she thinks I hurt her feelings. I didn't hurt her feelings, but it's annoying because if I were to complain, generally complain, most of these universities are using the politics of race, and they're being very insulting to me, extremely insulting to me. But you know, you've got to take it sometimes. You just got to roll with the punches and you know, see how far their hegemony and their tyranny goes when it comes to marking your essay. Well, I got cited that mine was a bit of a polemic, and it was a polemic. I thought I was justified. I was subject to a week of bullying, tyrannical, lies, deceit, deception, and a recruiting sergeant for the feminist movement. It was, by all means, a polemic. There was no balance. There were so many females they could have spoken about, but I didn't, because they were not fitting the ideology. So everything's we're victim, mansplaining, manspreading. Oh, some of the stuff that it was ridiculous. It really was, you know, everything they took offence to, there was a logical explanation to it. But, you know, you can't keep putting your hand up because it looks like blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm a troublemaker. Well, I didn't expect to be browbeaten, bullied into a recruiting sergeant. They obviously assume that everybody takes this course is a feminist and wants to be a better advocate. You know, activist, feminist activist. This is a Russell Group University, my friend. Well, so what did I do? I've been studying feminism and I've got all the early books, many of them, and writings from feminists, early writings. I mean, chivalry was more or less invented and codified by Eleanor of Aquitaine. That's a female, okay? I could go right back to the Middle Ages. It's not me, those are books, you choose to read them, you read them. It's best you will do your own investigation. That's what education is about. You know, dare to be wise, sap it or you do your work and then you've got something solid ground to speak on. And therefore, when you actually do your work, you find out you can speak, but by the time you got round to writing anything, you know, the university is telling you what you can't say. You know, you're not allowed to say because there is no truth, and her truth is equally valid as my truth. And that's why they say all religions are the same, because the truth of... No. And this concept that, oh, you know, United Kingdom or England is a secular country. No. It is a Christian country. It's number one. If you want to call it... Let's look at it like a football league. Church of England, number one. They're the Man United. Well, who's the champion? They're the Man City of the Premier League. Okay? Protestant, Church of England. If you're a Catholic, oh well, so, you know, the Republic of Ireland, that's yours. That's yours. Number one religion in the Republic of Ireland. Well, it's Catholicism, isn't it? It's Roman Universal, isn't it? Same in Spain. What do you think that is? Roman Universal. Well, have at it. But in England, all religions are not the same. All denominations are not the same. Okay? So let's get that straight. This is not the Bible, by the way. But if you're interested in sending your children to university, I think you should read this. I think Frank Furedi, if you can bypass the typos, I warn you, there are loads of them. I've never seen a book with so many, but there are loads of them. And I've only got to chapter 6. But everything he's saying is on point, and I don't argue with his expression. I think it's the only reason why I stopped reading it, I had to do out some other work. It's a very good book. So that's what's going on in university, and the university minister at the time I wrote to him was Boris Johnson's brother. Useless, didn't do anything about it, didn't see the need. I mean, like, if the Tories wanted a voting bloc, you should have done something. and could have done something. But if you want the lefties and the commies and the Marxists to not only gain a foothold but actually lace up a hobnail boot and therefore have a huge populace coming from university, do nothing. Just let the lefty professors keep indoctrinating you. Just do what... Well, we've got another, Sam Gyimah. He's the new education minister. Not education minister, universities minister. I may have to write to him and explain to him, but again, that's taking a lot of energy out of myself. I've got my own studies, I've got my own little fights to do, and so forth. So, that's the state of university, and that's where freedom of speech is coming under attack. Now, freedom of speech. There are those, and I've told you already, there are those who believe that freedom of speech must have its limits. And they propose to construct arguments in said favour of limits to one's freedom of speech. I haven't got the book here. I vehemently oppose anybody containing my freedom of speech. And I suppose you can call me a modern day Voltaire, except Voltaire was what I would call the human rights activist of the day. And a great thinker and a brave man too. Had to be, he was a playwright, successful in his job, the rich loved him, and he was much wanted. He would have been fawned over, I suppose, and taken serious. And one day he decided, I've had enough of BS, and I'm going to call everything what I see it. I mean, we're talking about enlightenment now, so you can question anything and investigate anything, and he did. And he didn't hold back, and nobody, it wasn't, I'm just going to critique the middle class. Wherever it was, he did it. He opened up a couple of cases, to prove that the judiciary was stupid in executing a man who was quite clearly innocent. And he done that twice, just by looking at the evidence and redoing the case, and he wrote about it. That's why I call him the first human rights activist I know. He criticised Christianity, preachers, anybody. Anybody that he'd speak about it. And this one's a treatise on tolerance and other writings, Voltaire. Interesting, because if you're free to speak it and see it, and you can eloquently put your case, then well done. Here's something I've highlighted that he said, because sometimes they say, oh, Voltaire said such and such and such, or something, and he didn't say such and such, but he did say some things. In this one it says, is each individual citizen, then, to be permitted to believe only in what his reason tells him, to think only what his reason, be it enlightened or misguided, may dictate? Yes, indeed, he should, provided always that he threatens no disturbance to public order. So basically, you don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with you. You can have your view. There's another quote in here as well. Sorry, my reading isn't fantastic, and I'm one of the first to admit it, you know what I mean? I read a lot, but if you happen to read aloud, it's rubbish. I'm often stumbling over my words. Here's a good quote. You see, what I'm doing is talking about freedom of speech, right? Tolerance. I don't really like the word tolerance, because it sounds like, pain, I gotta tolerate it, you know what I mean? But I think what the idea, the sentiment is, in some of the countries today, they limit themselves to saying, believe, or I shall hold you in abhorrence. Believe, or I shall do you all the injury of which I am capable. Monster that you are. If you have not my religion, then you have none. You are obliged to be an object of hatred to your neighbours, to your city, to your province. Do you see, this is written in the 1700s. Do you see any similarity with people being labelled today? You see? What did I read earlier on about what Marx said and what he was trying to do? I kid you not. The sages of the past are the sages that we need to quote today. And we need to speak about it today. Now, in this one, I bought this book. I've been waiting to get this book for a long time. Because I'm a free speech advocate. And this is I suppose it's written by scholars, professors and so forth. And this book is called The Content and Context of Hate Speech. Rethinking Regulation and Responses. Edited by Michael Hertz and Peter Molnar. So, I know who doesn't like your freedom of speech and who's been advocating hate speech laws. I'm not going to say it, I don't want my video banned. So I went to one of the professors and I was reading his essay on why he believes, there should be limits to freedom of speech. And it's very interesting because he actually cites John Stuart Mill. A lot of people like to associate themselves with John Stuart Mill because on his book, or in his book On Liberty, he makes the great case, an excellent case for freedom of speech. And some people like to think, oh no, we're living in the 21st century, that doesn't hold true today, as one of these professors does. And, I read it, and I'm going to destroy that man, who is a professor now. I'm not. I'm actually taking a master's. I haven't got it yet. It's possible I could fail. But, I'm determined not to. I think if I get it, I think I'll push on to get a PhD. If it's permissible and God wants it, Whatever it is for my life, it will be. But his essay, let's have a look. Where is it? In his essay, he makes really a bad... I'm like, you weak lily. Now, you've got to understand, this is a book, it's compiled. This is their best case, their best arguments, best scholarly work, best arguments. A professor, PhD. Okay? And I. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is it. It's called Social Epistemology, Holocaust Denial, and the Post-Million Calculus. I just thought I'd read that one. And his argument is so weak. And he's almost saying as well, if I remember correctly, he's basically saying, we know it's wrong, but to correct certain things may be problematic. So leave it alone. What? What? I'm not going to say what he's referring to, but he's made a case for an argument to say that we know it's a lie, but whatever it is, to correct it, might cause problems. Well, we either live in a world where we want to get things right or live on lies. We don't want to live by lies. Nobody wants to live on lies. Yeah, is there Santa Claus? But these are major issues. So the whole thing was about my contention that freedom of speech has no limits. It really does have no limits. I'm going to write a real punchy little essay, and I'm going to cite Oliver Wendell Holmes and his argument about shouting fire in a cinema. I've smashed that to bits anyway. It's no longer a good argument. There is no argument that I believe that can hold up against my argument for freedom of speech. And the best case arguments I've heard so far and read so far that advocate a limit to my freedom of speech, they're easily beaten. Now, it's either I'm thinking, and I'm actually thinking correctly, or I am pretty brilliant. I don't think I'm brilliant. I think I'm actually thinking critically and answering their questions. So, there is no limit to freedom of speech. You can be wrong. You have a right to be wrong. How do we learn? By trial and error. I mean, that's what science and gaining knowledge is about. And we culture each other on manners. So anyway, this weekend at Hyde Park, there was much hullabaloo, much ado because Tommy Robinson, the former leader of the EDL, turned up, and it was, announced that he was coming, and he came and read Martin Sellner's speech. I don't quite know who Martin Sellner is, but I believe he's an activist or a leader of some Austrian faction, or maybe right wing, I don't know. And he was detained or banned from speaking. He may be detained as well, I'm not sure. That's not the issue, whether I've got the facts about Martin Sellner. I'm not talking about Martin Sellner, but his right to freedom of speech was curtailed. And Tommy, to the delight of his fans and free speech activists, read it out and promised to speak to anybody next week. I think it's the Muslims. Now, a lot of Muslims don't like Tommy Robinson because they think he twists the Quran and takes it out of context, etc., etc. He may well have. He may well have from time to time. But there are things in the Quran, as there are in the Bible, that could be seen as objectionable. All matters can be debated. And you don't really have to hate anybody. This is the thing, that, if you disagree with somebody, you don't have to hate them. You disagree with them. You have a debate, and that's it. I don't know where our government comes in with hate speech laws and stuff like that. I mean, you can't tell me where hate starts, love starts, where it ends, and a dislike for something is transfers to hatred. And who defines all this? And how can you define something as nebulous as a word called hate? I mean, how many times there's an advert when the daughter's stomping upstairs saying, "I hate you," to her mum? Well, no, that's just like saying, "I love you," but you're not letting me have my own way. It's stupid. And governments must know this. It's stupid. Don't feign offence with me. Jesus. People died for the right to freedom of speech. Don't you start creep taking it away over some, it might offend. Hey, offend away, my friend. We just know who's got no manners. And, there's ways around that. You don't do is stop people's speech. And if someone said Kennedy was assassinated, leave them alone. They have their view. If someone says, now, there's a hue and cry about people saying the earth is flat. Have at it. Climate change. Well, the climate changes all the time. Well, no, because you're breathing in oxygen. It's too much CO2. It's a pollutant. CO2, a pollutant. Really? Is that how low our chemistry? We've forgotten our chemistry lessons. Don't be silly. But have at it. But debate is free. We're supposed to be able to. There's nothing that you cannot debate or should be deemed outside the realm of debate, even if it's the most ridiculous. I mean, once upon a time they used to say, well, I think it was Finkelstein said, I would not have a conversation with a Holocaust denier than I would with somebody who believed the earth was flat. Just to say how ridiculous the concept would, well, I don't mind somebody saying the earth is flat, Give me what you could consider good evidence or your reasons, and let's work it out. Let's just go free. You give me your good reasons and your explanations, and I'll give you mine to the opposite. There is no topic. I don't care, right? And that's the bottom line. Your feelings don't trump facts. So, that's what happened. It was, thousands of people were out there to support Tommy and freedom of speech. Tommy sat down with Sarah Garvey for a conversation. I'm not quite sure when that took place, whether it was pre the speech reading or after, I'm not too sure. That was interesting. Should have been longer, should have been more in depth, but that's not me. I support Tommy's right to freedom of speech. It's as simple as that. And those Muslims who ran up to him and wanted to punch his face in, who are you? And another thing that Muslims better understand and know this straight, you cannot cherry pick. Don't cherry pick and don't think that this is not a Christian country. It's relaxed. Some may be, in your word, misguided. Some may believe in the Trinity. I don't. But don't you think that this is a Muslim state? It's not. It's not going to be. It's just not. Okay? And just because the media want to tell you that nobody's going to... The media's telling you that. All of a sudden you want to cherry pick that and believe that? That's up to you. The media lies all the time. You think it's just you alone it's lying about? I've told you my scenario. And Surah 109, me to mine, you to your own. There is no compulsion in your religion. That's your Surah 109. Okay? And so I have no problem with Islam. And most of the Muslims I know, we're cool. We're cool. You know, somebody even called me a Muslim. You know, say, no, you're a Muslim, really. But it takes wisdom to understand difficulties and how to reason the difficulties that may arise. And it takes patience and it takes a calm head to really debate these things. And the hermeneutics of one script or another is neither. Who was it who said? Somebody said, if we didn't have a God, we'd have to create one. Okay? It makes sense. All human beings, well, we men, are guided by the Creator. If you don't believe it, that's up to you. Probably a Marxist, you know? And you just don't believe in the supernatural. Isn't it funny, though? They don't believe in the supernatural God. They hate him. They call him a spaghetti monster. And if he was a spaghetti monster, Mr. Dawkins, he would be of substance. We're not arguing for substance here, right? We're talking something beyond what you know, supernatural, okay? They hate that. They hate God, the Creator. They hate the miracles. But you give them a poke at their supernatural, and they don't mind inculcating you with Harry Potter, she-wizard, crazy, but everything, you know, anything to do with demonology. Look at Halloween. It's a celebration of the dead and the undead and whatnot, and ghosts and ghouls. Anything to make a profit out of, anything to do with the supernatural that they can make money out of and corrupt you, oh, it's fine. Then they believe in the supernatural, all right. They'll put it on TV, yeah, they're prime time. You know? They love the blood and gore and murder and all the rest of it. That's supernatural. That side of the supernatural is believable. Or it's promotable. It's desirable. But if you talk about God and the Creator and Yeshua the Christ, all of a sudden you're ramming it down our throats and whatnot. Yet, what they teach in universities and colleges, Darwin and evolution. And these people haven't even read Darwin. I don't want to let out all my secrets, because you've got to read Darwin to find out what he actually says and what he doesn't agree with. And it amazes me when I read the text and I'm like, whoa, I know you don't know this. I know you don't know this. Oh, I've done it to some of these female professors. They're out there Darwin. I go, oh, so you're Darwin evolutionist then. Then I should be fine in quoting from his book, Descent of Man. Because in that he says women. Men are superior to women. And you can get the finest of the finest of the finest women and breed them together and they still won't cut the mustard. So if the Darwinian evolutionists who haven't read Darwin are so adamant that because they're lefties and they don't like God, well, yeah, of course, Darwin's great, yeah, great, until you realise what he was saying. Then they, oh no, we don't agree with those views. No, I thought you did. Get them first. Get them first and then, you know, do your due diligence. It's a wedge of a book, I think it's over there. So, this is all to do with education. Now, if I were in charge of education, Ofsted is dead. Anybody in Ofsted, anybody supported Ofsted, it's dead, it's done. It's done. I'm freeing up teachers to be able to be teachers. I don't want cookie cutter teachers. We're going to allow children to flex their memory muscle. So there will be some what they call rote learning. The Marxists hate rote learning. They hate. I mean, oh yeah, they got robbed. They want. What did he look like? Oh, I can't remember. No, they want you to remember everything. Then there's a reason why you have a mind and a brain. It's to be used to its optimum, but they don't want people to use their brains to the optimum. So they decry rote learning and so forth. And when you find out that humanities have come into it, It's an amalgamation of whatever. And then they, you know, in my day you'd have biology, you'd have science, but it's divided into faculties: chemistry, physics, biology. You know, history was on its own, geography was on its own. You know, anyway, this is my video about freedom of speech and education. Because if it's there, you must be able to speak of it. You must be able to call someone a liar. You must be able to call somebody a thief. You must be able to go help murder. You must be able to. Nobody should be telling you can't do that. You offend this group. I'm sorry. The science does not back transgenderism. The science does not back homosexualism. And there is an ultimate truth, and those are the ultimate facts of the matter. Okay? And you don't get to bully people, you lying dogs. Oh, we don't want to get married, we just want to have a civil wedding. Allow us. Then it's a civil wedding. Then oh, we want to get married, we're not going to want it in a church. Now you want it in a church. You're lying every step of the way. I have been lying every step of the way. If it were me, I would nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. You don't see me. You're not going to be seeing me. Oh, I hate white people. They are cockadoids and they are subhuman. I'm not. That's not me. That's not me. You will not hear me besmirching my white brothers. Anymore, I'm going to be besmirching anybody. But those who do crime, why not point them out? Those who are cheating, why not point them out? And those leaders who are not leading, or followers, or implementing policies that don't make any sense, why not point them out? I'm saying Theresa May must be fired. No, you don't get to walk away and resign. She'll be fired. Fired for the handing off this Brexit as it is, and this whole nonsense with this picking a fight with Russia. Leave it alone. And with that, I think I'll have to look to see what this video looks like and sounds like. That's my discussion today to do with education, and I hope it's been of some help. It's my view anyway, and I'm standing by it. Thank you very much.